go. All right, so it is my pleasure to introduce Farhad Shakrani. Farhad studied medical LIS for 6 years and worked as a research fellow in the Research Center for Pharmaceutical Nanotechnology for 2 years. He joined the Cochrane Schizophrenia Group at the University of Nottingham as an Information Specialist Research Fellow in 2013. He's co-author of the search chapter in the Cochrane Handbook, and he's also an invited editor for Systematic Reviews and World Journal of Meta-Analysis. Wow. So his interest in study-based registers, automation, open data sharing, and reproducibility in the field of evidence synthesis led him to become involved with 2D search, and that's what he's going to talk about today. So I noticed that you are still muted, Farhad, so if you want to unmute yourself, I'll pass it over to you.
Good morning, Canada. Here is afternoon, cloudy Nottingham's typical British summer we are enjoying. And it's a pleasure to be here to present two-dimensional search platform for you. I need to start with the conflict of interest declaration. I just wanted to say that this is a free open source, open access platform, and I have not been paid to do this presentation, and I'm not directly benefiting from this presentation or working with 2D search. For the start, just to present the problem that we are facing while we are developing a search method for evidence synthesis or any other step of the searching, I'm going to present just 2 slides, and then I will show you practically how 2D search looks like and how you could use it. So I'm going to share screen with you. Can you see this, Christine?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so the problem that we are facing in our search practice probably is not one. There are many, but the major one, the one that we are very scared of, is the errors in search strategies. And the best paper that I've seen recently published in JMLA listing the types of errors that you might see in the search strategies, or we might make in the search strategies. The other part is with the peer reviewing the search strategies. We are usually using a forum called Press Forum for sharing the Word document of the search strategies. And if you've used this platform, you know that you have to log in, you have to rename the Word document and move it to another folder in that system, and then download it, peer review it based on the checklist, and then upload it to another folder that is accomplished. It means it has been peer reviewed. So the system itself is the best that we've got up until now, but maybe there might be better approaches toward peer reviewing the search. And then the platform that we are using to develop our search, we usually develop it in either a Word document or Google Docs, or a document word processing a software program. So the problem with it is that, firstly, autocorrection and autoconversion. So if you're using Ovid, you probably know that by using the curly quotations, Ovid cannot run the searches. And usually when you're developing the search and you are using quotations either in Google Docs or Word document, it automatically converts your straight quotations to curly quotations unless you press Ctrl-Z or inactivate that feature. Sometimes you are truncating or using the wildcard for British or American spelling, but Word or Google Docs automatically correct it. And it is a very prevalent error that I've made and sometimes I've seen when I'm peer reviewing the other systematic reviews, and you know that it is unintentional, because then you see that after the truncation has been fixed, there is the star left. So you know that they meant to do it as truncation, but there was autocorrection in there. And then when you share these Word documents with your colleagues, when they open it, they see that all the words are stick together. There is no space, and then they have to just click and add the space to use it. So these are the frequently happening errors with using the Word or Google Docs as a platform for developing the search strategies. And Microsoft Word and Microsoft Office programs, if you're using Excel even, they are external programs. So you have to develop there, you have to copy your search strategy to the search box and then run it. So they are separate from the search system. So not many people develop their search strategies within the search environment of Ovid or PubMed. And the main reason for not doing that, if we think narrowly, why we are not using, because the search box is too small and we couldn't see the long search strings. That is the main reason that we are not using it. And if you look at the trainings that people are providing using OvidSP, for example, or PubMed, they try using line-by-line searching so that people could see the entire string in the search box. Some people say that for sharing the search strategies, we should use PDF format. It has its own problems. If the search strategy is long in a paragraph, you copy and paste it, it breaks the paragraph into the lines. It cannot be edited unless using professional editor that requires probably payment. And same as Microsoft, you need external program to open and use these supplementary files as a PDF. The problems continues with the reproducibility and what we mean by reproducibility of search, and how easy it is to reproduce a search strategy. It could be as easy as clicking a link and seeing the search results. Sometimes it is possible if you're developing searches for PubMed until a certain length, you could truncate or shorten the URL of the PubMed address and share it. That looks like a good solution as long as it is stable. And then when you try to reproduce them, you usually face issues. You see that by copying and pasting, something is wrong. You are not getting similar results. Things has changed. And then usually if you are search expert and you are doing this development of search strategy for systematic reviews, you will be invited to teach other people to do the searches, either as part of a curriculum or just a face-to-face one-to-one training. So it happens that some of the people who are sitting in front of you, they want to learn search, they have issues with developing the search because they couldn't understand the concept behind the Boolean logic. They say that in the daily conversation, when we say that I want muffin rather than croissant, or I want muffin or croissant, we never mean both of them. But when we are doing the search, when we say muffin or croissant, we actually want both of them. So using and or in the usual conversation sometimes is not exactly how we use it in the computer and designing the search, and it is confusing. So maybe we need to find a better way of training these beginners. And then after developing the search for a single platform, we usually translate it. Of course, there is a platform called Polyglot, which is separate of course, from where you are developing your search. You could copy and paste your search in there and get a translation of your search to other databases. It automatically translates the syntax. Of course, it couldn't translate mesh terms to M3. So in terms of controlled vocabulary, but it translates the syntax, majority of the tags and the punctuations, which is very helpful. But we wish we had it beside the platform that we were developing the search, like as add-in to the Word or an app in Ovid. And then you want to share the search strategies. So this was a discussion among information specialists for a few years, how to share it. And the best one that have been suggested was supplementary materials as part of the methods. The issue with supplementary materials used to be, until 2005 that this study has been done, is that they go missing, because there was no systematic approach to document them to a repository to have all these supplementary materials together. Recently, the journals are doing better. They are depositing it to Figshare, to other platform like OSF, Open Science Foundation, and then they create a DOI so that people could access it, to cite it. And even for the peer review comments, there are platforms like F1000 Research that are creating DOI even for peer review comments so that people could access it. So in terms of supplementary materials, which is separate from the main document, of course, it's another document, that could be a solution. But if people want to search for all the search strategies of pregnancy, how they are going to search and find them? They usually search for the other systematic reviews and then find their methods or supplementary material and then copy it from there, or um, they usually have to do it one by one. We don't have a systematic database or repository of search strategies, so we usually have to locate them one by one. So in Pittsburgh University, some of the bright librarians created a system called Midterm Assist. I think it stopped working at the end of March 2019. I contacted them and they confirmed that it is not working currently. I don't know if it has been fixed or not, but this was a static database that you could have deposit your search block. Like if you've done a search strategy on osteoporosis or migraine or spinal cord injury, you could have deposited there, and the other information specialists could have searched, find it, and then reuse it and cite it. And there is another solution that some people in NICE here in UK have developed. There is a library for search strategy, but it is not publicly available. Not everybody could access or use it, but we know that it exists. And then there is a Google site. Some of the librarians have collected the search filters, the ones that have been published or partly validated or tested, partly, or suggested by certain organizations. They've collected them on a Google site. So these were the issues, and I'm going to present you with 2D search. So to go to 2D search, you just need to write 2D for dimension and then search.com. So this is the website. It has a section for, let's minimize, is it? Okay. For R&D, so you could check that where the funding of this work is coming from and who are the development team, and then follow the news about development of this platform. And then it says that what are the problems that has been targeted through 2D search, is that if you don't speak Boolean, you're stuck with finding the words short in time, and you want to own your own data. There's a tiny presentation of how you could use 2D search for searching Google Scholar or Google, how you could share it, and then says try it, launch 2D search. You could directly go through app.2dsearch.com if you are not interested in seeing the website and press get started. And in this start, it gives you a sample search strategy to show that how a two-dimensional approach could be translated automatically into the search box. But this might be confusing for some of you, so I'm going to just open a blank. Let me actually log out, get back, and start with a new blank canvas. What I'm going to search for today is comparing ibuprofen with acetaminophen for migraine. So there is a canvas here and I see PubMed open. Of course, I could change it to Google, Google Scholar, Epistemonicus, or Trip Database. So what we need to do is either double click and write down whatever you want to search. I want to search migraine, and I could add star or not to add. And then either enter or click outside where I was typing, and it will automatically run it here. I could randomly click and add other terms like ibuprofen, and then it adds to the search box. And I continue adding with Nurofen. I could add Alice, not there, Alice in Wonderland syndrome. I could randomly continue adding, and because the default is and, of course you get 0 results. So you continue adding term, whatever term that you want, like paracetamol, which is a synonym for acetaminophen. So I have some random terms on canvas. So what I could do now is to group them together. And for grouping, what I need to do is to just drag and drop them into each other. So I know that ibuprofen and Nurofen are synonyms. I know that migraine and Alice in Wonderland syndrome are synonyms, and paracetamol and acetaminophen. So now I have created 3 groups of terms without knowing anything about and or not. So what I'm going to do here to show you that's not the only way. Double clicking is not the only way. You could right click and either add a new term randomly or create a group that it could be or group or and group. So these groups are by default and, but I know that these are synonyms, so I'm going to change them from and to or by double clicking simply. And then it automatically has created the search strategy, and the default is and. So it may not be enough. You might need to create a bigger search strategy. You say that I need a group for and specifically. Then you could drag and drop your groups into another group. And then you create other blocks if you want. So instead of deleting them, if you don't want them, you could just simply right click and disable them. And it will get excluded automatically from the search. So it is good for testing, recall, and precision. So you could actually say that, okay, I wanted to compare ibuprofen and paracetamol, but now I've changed my mind. I want all the studies that are testing either one of them. So you could actually put ibuprofen into acetaminophen group. So you will have one intervention group rather than two. And then you could take it out if you want. As you see, it looks simple, and you could right click on them, either copy, cut, delete, or apply not to negate, to if you don't want a term to appear in the search, like when we get rid of animal studies. You could also add a field tag like TI if you want to search it in title or abstract TIAB, and then it will apply it here automatically. So what it does is that you don't need to know a lot about punctuation, about brackets, square brackets. You don't need to know a lot about Boolean logic to do that. It is a visual approach of doing it. You could also rename it and save it. You could redo or undo your work. And when you finish developing, you could easily share it after logging in with your colleagues. And for sharing, I'm going to add it migraine systematic review. It says to save it so that people could get back here and see it, and then you could just copy this link and share it. And anyone who is coming, do you still have my screen?
No, actually, it's gone away.
Oh, okay, let me just share it again. Okay. So if you just copy and paste that link, again, it will take you, any of your colleagues who have the link could get back here to comment on your search, to revise it and share it with you again. So it is kind of collaborative approach of developing search. And then you could see your search in, let me just take this out, in different views like nested view, which is what you are seeing now. You could also see it in inline view. Why it's not working? Okay, or tree view. So maybe the way that it works for inline, it should be inside. Yeah. So if you add them into new group of and, it is inline view. This is nested view, inline view, and tree view. And I personally find the tree view very helpful for some of my students who couldn't understand the concept of and or, how they break their question from top to down to the concepts and then to the synonyms. And then if your search strategy is large and you think that not only the search box couldn't show it, but also this canvas is not big enough to show it. For example, I'm going to create a new one. I confirm that I don't want this search. So you could go to the hamburger menu here, and then which allows you to create a new canvas to open a saved search strategy, import or export your search. So there is a line that says the option saying enter query string. And then if you paste it there, not only that it could detect some of the errors for you if you press confirm, if you have any errors, but also it runs it and it shows the results here. But it is too large. I have to screen down to see it. So there is an option for minimizing and maximizing the view. So if you click it, it will press it down a bit and a bit and a bit until you see the entire structure, and you could always open it again. So I found it very useful for seeing the large search strategies. Sometimes they are 10 pages in Word document, but here I could see the structure in a much better way in tree view or inline view. That is very helpful for some of the students and myself as well. If the search is very complicated, you might find it not easy to find the brackets and to see where the error is. So these options are very simple. The system is very simple, and you could change it to other databases or other sources. Of course, for Google doesn't allow us to display it there, so it shows in different tab. And when you are changing the source, if there are tags or field tags that are not working in that database, you receive error messages here that tells you that we don't have a mesh tag in Google or TIAB or PT or SB. So there is another type of error that the system detects as well, and that is if I open one of my saved, as you may see, I've saved at least 50 blocks of search here for my own use. South Asia. So if there is redundancy in the search, if you repeat unnecessarily, for example, in this case, Irian Java, I've repeated twice. Of course, this search is done. I've sent it out for the client already. It is not a serious problem, but if you want to be clean and neat, you don't want to have redundancy, unnecessary duplicate terms in your search, and the system detects that as well. And finally, what it does, it has already integrated polyglot. So not only you get the large URL as well if you want to share it. So you get the short URL for sharing from this button here, and you get the large URL here. You see the query string for the visualized version here if you want to report it, and you get the translation of the search strategy for other databases. So for Cochrane Library, mesh has been translated as, which is exactly polyglot integrated into the system. This is for embase.com. It's a web of science. So this is pretty much, you could also hide the search results if you want to see. This is pretty much it. It's a system that has been developed not primarily for healthcare professionals, but having in mind that this system could be used by information specialists for training, for validating search strategies, for sharing search strategies, and for lots of other purposes. But mainly the method that it is using for visualizing the search and gamifying the development of search strategies is really helpful. And I hope that you find it useful in your work, and I hope that you feedback to the team. The reason that I started working with the team was totally accidental. I was just participating in one of their talks, and I just saw the system. I was curious. I went there, and there were errors. For example, when I wanted to run the search block for randomized controlled trials from Cochrane Handbook, I realized that excluding animals using not is not working. So I told the team that, okay, when I'm copying and pasting this into PubMed, I'm getting a different results, and here I'm getting a different result. Why is that? And then they tested and they found an error, and they fixed it in less than 24 hours. And if you've worked with these systems, with these databases, like PubMed, like Cochrane Library, like any other databases, you may send the feedback, and it might take weeks until they reply sometimes days. And sometimes they don't fix the error. They say that, yeah, there is error, we are going to update the platform and this and that. But I started working with them and I made some suggestions. Would you please add this? Would you please add that? And I was seeing that they are doing it. They were interested in getting the feedbacks. That's why I continued spending my time on the system, and I still send feedbacks. For example, if you right click on them, on each one of the terms, there is an option for suggest terms. And in suggest terms, the terms that is suggesting is not, firstly, it is not from mesh. So it gets from open database of terms, which is not mesh. And we care that if you're searching in PubMed, you need to get suggestions from mesh or any other medical dictionary. So I made a suggestion. They said that we are working on it. So they are trying to get the terms from mesh, but there's also a link here that you could get to the mesh and get the terms from there. So I hope you find it useful, at least for the training purpose and just testing it, playing with it, and detecting and reporting errors. I definitely enjoy when I find error in other people's work. That's why I became a peer reviewer and editor. And I don't like anyone who is finding error in my work, of course. That's another thing that gives you good vibes to continue working with the system and reporting the errors. So I'm going to stop here, and I will be glad to hear your questions and your comments on the system. Thank you.
Thank you, Farhad. You should all be able to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question. Otherwise, we do have a chat box that we can read out questions that are typed in as well. I'm not sure if everyone sees it, but one of our participants has said that they really appreciate the overview and they're excited to test it out.
Oh, that's great. That's great news. Thank you.
I had a question about the mesh searching. I see that like you can paste something that you know is mesh, but how, like from pasting a search, but how do you indicate that you want to search something as a mesh rather than as a phrase search?
Ah, I see. So you just add the tag for the mesh. Either it is sh or you could add mesh heading or mesh. So let's say term, I'm adding so this is a term that I've added. You just right click on it and then add a field tag called mh or sh or mesh heading. I know that all of them will work with PubMed, so either mh or you could change it to mesh and it will still work. Or mesh headings. I know that there are a few of them that are sh might work as well.
Okay, we have a couple more questions in the text box. So the first is, I love the translating syntax bit. That is so helpful since my students work in Ovid, but I don't have access to it due to affiliation issues. Good to know. And Jenny has said, it's really helpful to see the number of results in the top right of each main box. Is it possible to display these for nested boxes as well? Oh, and there's another one too.
So, okay, when they are nested, you want to see the number of results on top of each term. Is it what you mean? Like, let me just open one of them. The one that I saved was migraine. So currently you can actually see the, okay. So you see the number of results just on top of the main box. So you mean that you want to see it on top of each box here? Is this correct?
Oh, she says yes.
Ah, okay. That's a good suggestion. I will note it down to let the team know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for the next question?
Yes. Yes, please.
Okay, so Lydia has said often we start searches in Ovid Medline. Is there a way to search Ovid Medline, I guess, rather than PubMed?
Yeah, we are working on it. We are talking to people. We are trying to find a way to make it freely accessible, because as you might have noticed, all the systems that we've used here, being Google Scholar, Epistemonical Strip Database, we had to talk to them, and then they allowed us. Of course, Google and Google Scholar, they don't let us to show the results here. They say that it's going to be a different tab. Um, but yeah, we are talking to them to see how we could work both ways, that help them and help the system and the users. But you could guess that it is not going to be easy to convince them to provide free access to Ovid.
Okay, great. Kind of along a similar vein, are the developers working on adding other databases they're particularly interested in CINAHL?
Oh yeah, these are the issue with all these commercial databases are that they are not allowing us to make it because we want to keep the system free. So what we could do, currently we are providing the translated query. So the good news is that because majority of the CINAHL headings have been developed based on mesh, if you develop your search in PubMed or Ovid or anywhere and run it here, and then you could get the translated CINAHL search string. But as a good option, I note it down so that we could talk to EBSCO to see what we could do about it. But it is, again, less likely that they provide free access. But we could also talk to see if we could convince them to use this system inside CINAHL. That could be another option that we should go for it probably. But thank you for the suggestion.
Oh, they say that makes sense. Thank you. I had another question here. Oh, here we go. I really like the idea of an open database of peer-reviewed searches. I know they exist for search hedges and filters, but I'm thinking bigger. Is there an option in 2D search to share searches publicly?
Yeah, that is actually a comment that I made to Tony Russell Rose, who is the team leader behind this. That was the first actually suggestion that I made. I said that we are struggling, we are not programmers, and we are struggling to have this database. Please, please, please do this. And I said that I will present your system for free all over the world if you could do this for us. Because I mean, I personally have developed search strategy for pregnancy at least 15 times. Why should I do that? And I couldn't find my own search strategies. So that is a suggestion that they are looking into it. And just to give you some hints, what is going to happen is to link the system with one of the open repositories like OSF or GitHub. And then you could not only save your search strategies and share it publicly, but also it will allow you the versioning. So you might publish your search strategy online with a DOI, and then some people make comment on it, and then you revise it and get a second version of it with a new DOI. And if people access the first version, you receive a notification that this is not the last version. If you want the original version, it is here with all the comments on that. So yeah, that is the ideal, that is the dream that we are following. And I hope, I think Tony is among the audience as well. And I'm noting down to make sure to press this. Yeah.
Okay, so good feedback in the chat box there. Messages are, I love that. That would be amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, thanks the team, not me. Really, I'm not officially part of the team. I'm as enthusiastic as you when I saw the system first time, and I'm just trying to help to be part of the solution. And I encourage you to join the team, to work with them. I might not be working with this team next year, so please join the team and criticize the system, say that your system is bad because of this and that. They will take it. These are computer scientists.
Okay, well, I have a question. So we've heard about the new version of PubMed that they've got in beta. That's going to come out sometime. I honestly can't remember when, but have there been efforts to kind of try it out with the new version of PubMed to make sure that everything is compatible? Do you foresee any changes or even like improvements that could be made because of it changes to PubMed?
Yeah, actually, I think it is end of September, a new PubMed, and I've already sent it to the team, informing them that PubMed is going to change. So I think, yes, it's going to be compatible. As long as PubMed is openly accessible,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be okay. There are ways to fix any issue. But if they make it closed access, then that's going to be a problem. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, hearing none and reading none, I guess we can call it a day. Thank you so much, Farhad. We really appreciate that you took the time to speak with us today. It's a super interesting topic, and thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you so much for your time, for being here for this presentation, and thanks a lot for the Knowledge Synthesis Interest Group of Canadian Health Library Association. I really appreciate your interest. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And before everyone goes, someone has asked how they can get in touch with you. In the meantime, I'm also going to put the link to the feedback form in the chat box.
Yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately, I'm all over the place. If you just copy and paste my name into Google, it is unlikely that you couldn't find email or Skype or Twitter or something. But yeah, my name, dot family name @nottingham.ac.uk is my official email address. But you could also stick my name and family name together at Gmail, farhashukrane@gmail.com. I check them frequently, 200 times per day, so it is less likely I miss anything.
Okay, wonderful. So thanks again. I guess we'll call it done, and thanks everyone for coming as well. You guys have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day.